Good day, everyone. This deck is about a problem that's no longer just an HR issue. It's a delivery risk. Across the AEC industry, we're entering 2026 facing a real supply-side shock. Fewer qualified people available, more infrastructure demand, and a tighter regulatory environment. For civil engineering firms, this directly impacts our ability to hit schedules, meet client commitments, and protect margins. If we can't staff the work, we can't deliver the work, and that means we can't recognize revenue. The goal today is to introduce a practical, strategic resilience playbook. How we restructure roles, build domestic talent pipelines, and adopt borderless delivery models without compromising quality, safety, or licensure requirements. This slide shows the convergence creating what we can call the labor vacuum. It's not caused by just one issue. It's demographics, policy, and demand hitting at the same time. On the demographic side, retirements are accelerating, and we're losing institutional knowledge, especially in civil disciplines like transportation, water, wastewater, and geotech. On the policy side, immigration restrictions and higher fees reduce the inflow of early career talent and skilled workers. And on the demand side, infrastructure programs are increasing workload. The net result is predictable. Projects get delayed, not because the design is impossible, but because the staffing is unavailable. In civil engineering terms, this is a capacity constraint that directly threatens project delivery and client trust. This slide makes the business case clear. Capacity is now a financial limiter. When labor shortages slow production, companies miss revenue targets, miss schedules, and absorb cost escalation. For civil engineering firms, the equivalent is missing deliverable deadlines. Plans, reports, calcs, submissions, shop drawing reviews, and construction support, because key staff are overloaded. The warning at the bottom is the most important point. We are in a low-hire, low-fire environment where labor hoarding is common. And here's the truth. If we cannot staff the project, we cannot recognize the revenue. That means workforce strategy is no longer a back-office topic. It is a core operational strategy. This slide explains why traditional staffing fixes are no longer reliable. Many firms historically used immigration pathways to stabilize staffing, but the policy environment is shifting fast. We see higher barriers, more uncertainty, and now extremely high sponsorship costs, shown here as a major upfront cost for H-1B sponsorship. For civil engineering firms, especially small and mid-sized consultants, this creates a hard reality. The buy talent strategy is priced out for most firms. So instead of assuming visas will solve the pipeline problem, we need to design our organization so it can produce work even when licensed talent is scarce. This is a practical snapshot of the visa landscape and what it means for staffing. H-1B is in critical condition, capped, lottery-based, and now carries major financial burden. F-1 OPT is an entry point, but it's temporary and eventually requires transition. TN can work for certain Canadian and Mexican professionals, but it's role-specific. O1 is niche and requires exceptional credentials, and L1 is high scrutiny and depends on multinational structures. The takeaway for civil engineering firms is this: we should not build a staffing plan that depends on a single visa pathway. Instead, we need a workforce model that can function even when immigration-based hiring becomes unreliable. This slide is extremely important for civil engineering leadership. Unlike many industries, we cannot simply swap staff across disciplines when demand spikes. Licensure requirements create a rigid supply chain. You cannot place an unlicensed engineer into a responsible charge role, and you cannot stamp deliverables without the appropriate PE oversight. This becomes a friction point when demand increases, because the bottleneck isn't junior staff, it's licensed leadership capacity. So for civil engineering firms, resilience requires separating what must be done by licensed professionals from what can be produced by trained teams under proper supervision and QA/QC. This map highlights a problem every regional civil engineering firm feels. The shortage is not evenly distributed. Some regions are stable but thin, meaning there may be fewer enforcement impacts but still demographic shortages. Other regions are red zones, where labor scarcity is severe and immigration constraints hit hardest. For firms working in high-growth markets, transportation corridors, water upgrades, renewables, and heavy civil construction, the shortage is felt first in the field and then quickly in design support. The practical message is, if your firm is located in or serving a red zone region, your staffing strategy must be proactive. Waiting until backlog increases is already too late. This slide introduces the first pillar, role engineering. Many civil firms still rely on the legacy unicorn role, the person who can do everything: design, drafting, client management, field visits, and stamping. The problem is, unicorns are rare, expensive, and represent a single point of failure. If that person leaves, the firm loses capacity instantly. The engineered approach is to split roles into two categories. A roles, U.S.-based roles requiring licensure, oversight, and stamping responsibility, such as resident engineers, geotechnical oversight, and special inspection leadership. B roles, distributed or global production roles like CAD production, 3D modeling, quantity takeoffs, and formatting. The strategy at the bottom is key. Decouple stamping from production. Hire for trainability, not only exact experience. This slide shows how to scale output without needing every person to be a senior PE. At the top, you have the senior PE, the person providing decision-making, QA, client confidence, and stamping oversight. Below, you build a pod, a structured team with an engineer 2 and 3, an engineer 1, CAD designer support, and field tech input. The benefit is throughput. The PE is no longer trapped doing production work. They're focused on quality, risk, and approvals. For civil engineering firms, this is how you protect licensure bottlenecks while increasing deliverable volume and consistency. This slide introduces the second pillar, building talent domestically instead of relying purely on external hiring. The concept is to create a structured progression from technician roles to engineering roles, especially targeting hidden talent pools, materials testing technicians, surveyors, construction inspectors, and military veterans. These individuals often understand construction reality better than fresh graduates, and with training and mentorship, they can become highly effective engineering staff. The conversion mechanism shown here is practical. Weekly training, mentorship, and a skills passport that tracks lab, field, and calculation competencies. For civil firms, this is how you create a predictable pipeline instead of competing in a bidding war for scarce mid-level engineers. This slide focuses on partnerships that actually produce talent, not just recruitment marketing. The case study shows a construction management program model with mandatory co-op and curriculum alignment. That means graduates arrive with real field exposure, familiarity with planning and BIM workflows, and a better understanding of how engineering deliverables connect to construction. The partnership tiers suggest an approach. Invest in the pipeline by supporting programs, participating in advisory councils, and building internship-to-hire conversion targets. For civil engineering firms, this is a long-term capacity strategy. If you influence the curriculum, you reduce onboarding time and improve first-year productivity. This slide introduces the third pillar, borderless delivery using an employer of record model. The concept is straightforward. Rather than relocating staff to the U.S. and navigating visa delays, the firm engages talent in their home country through a compliant third-party employment structure. The benefits are speed and compliance, onboarding in days, not months, and avoiding visa sponsorship costs. For civil engineering firms, this does not replace U.S.-based licensed oversight. Instead, it creates production capacity for tasks that can be standardized: CAD, drafting support, takeoffs, report formatting, and calculations under review. This is the shift from bringing talent here to sending work there, while maintaining professional responsibility. This slide explains how to implement global delivery without compromising quality or client trust. On the left is what can go to the delivery center: CAD, BIM production, quantity takeoffs, pay item documentation, report formatting, boring log drafting, and calculation templates, provided they are under U.S. engineer review. On the right are the control measures that make this safe: strict QA/QC workflows, a rule that no direct client deliverables go out without internal U.S. review, and strong data security and export control protocols. The result at the bottom is the business outcome. You compete in a global labor market, not just a strained local metro area. For civil firms, this is a capacity multiplier, if governance is done correctly. This slide delivers a message many firms underestimate. Retention is not a culture initiative. It is a capacity strategy. When an engineer leaves, the firm doesn't just lose a person. It loses production continuity, institutional knowledge, and project momentum. The slide shows common retention levers: pay adjustments in a wage war environment, clear progression pathways, burnout mitigation by setting realistic utilization targets, and paying for professional growth like FEPE preparation and certifications. The key number here is the replacement cycle. Replacing an engineer 2 or 3 can take 6 to 18 months. That means attrition is not just disruptive, it is a direct capacity killer. This slide is the execution checklist, the Monday morning playbook for leadership. First, audit and decouple. Identify which roles truly require stamping and which are production. Second, stand-up verification. Centralize I-9 and E-Verify processes to reduce onboarding delays. Third, build the bench. Launch a technician-to-engineer bridge program with a structured curriculum. Fourth, claim and move. Identify non-stamping functions, like drafting, and pilot them through an EOR or delivery center model. Fifth, go borderless. Expand distributed delivery to reduce local staffing bottlenecks. And sixth, lock in retention by conducting a compensation audit immediately. The goal at the bottom summarizes the strategy: move from reactive panic to strategic resilience. This final slide reinforces that the workforce crisis cannot be solved by firms alone. It requires collective action across industry bodies and policy stakeholders. The advocacy points focus on predictable, skills-based immigration allocation, stronger STEM visa reform, and increased investment in career and technical education pipelines. For civil engineering firms, the message is clear. We need both operational strategy and industry advocacy. Our objective is not just to survive the labor shortage, but to ensure the construction and civil infrastructure sector remains a driver of economic growth, with the workforce capacity required to deliver safely, on time, and at a high professional standard.